Good evening. Our top story tonight. Won't somebody please trade somebody? We are waiting, impatiently waiting at this point, waiting for a deal to be made. Of course, we have seen trades already go down. Cam Akers goes from the Rams to the Vikings. We see J.C. Jackson return home to the New England Patriots, having a lot more success there than he did with the Los Angeles Chargers. Just something to note. Maybe J.C. Jackson wasn't the problem. Maybe it was Brandon Staley in the Los Angeles Chargers, but I digress. So we've seen trades like that already go down, but where are the blockbusters? It's the Kevin Byard to the Philadelphia Eagles, but even bigger. Because Kevin Byard, don't get me wrong, all-pro football player, a fantastic addition to the Eagles, might carry them to a Super Bowl, but doesn't have the household name of a Derrick Henry, a Devontae Adams, a Patrick Surtain. So we're going to be talking about all these potential trades, who's going to end up where, breaking down the injury report. There are so many injuries. I am so sorry, but we do have some good news across the NFL and more on Player Profiler today. And so, like we said, the NFL trade deadline approaches officially on October 31st. Happy Halloween to all my friends out there. Hope you're celebrating. Of course, I will be here on Tuesday, so I'll maybe show you my Halloween costume. Make sure you tune in for that show. But in the meantime, trade deadline approaching. This is the final show of Player Profiler today before the trade deadline. And hopefully by then we actually have some news to react to. I am still hoping and waiting and praying that we're going to see some sort of trade, that I'm going to get a notification that someone is going to be traded. And by the way, make sure you are careful at the trade deadline, because there are lots of lies, there are lots of rumors. I'm just seeing right now, Derrick Henry traded to the Dallas Cowboys, which is not true. But Derrick Henry and the Cowboys have been linked. So the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, says, yeah, we're not opposed to making moves right now, but we like our roster. So if teams want to trade with us, they're going to have to come to us. They're going to have to hit us up. They're going to have to give us an offer. And so with the Titans, as we know, being sellers, considering they have already sold Kevin Byard to the Philadelphia Eagles and his contract in that trade, well, what's to stop them from selling Derrick Henry and picking up the phone and calling the Dallas Cowboys and say, hey, do you want Derrick Henry? Do you want an all-pro running back? Because your offense isn't the same. Tony Pollard, the efficiency of Tony Pollard has dipped in his full-time role. Now, is it the full-time role? Tony Pollard's not as efficient on more touches. Is that the issue? Or is it possible that recovering from that broken ankle, maybe it's impacting him still? Because he's still playing well. Tony Pollard's still having a good season. It's just not the same. And with the Dallas Cowboys having Super Bowl hopes and Derrick Henry on a one-year contract, could the Dallas Cowboys answer the call for Derrick Henry? Or is Jerry Jones just lying to us and he is calling other teams? We also know that the Baltimore Ravens are supposedly in talks with the Tennessee Titans on Derrick Henry. Imagine that. The rivalry between the Ravens and the Titans over these past couple of years, the near brawls at midfield between players tearing up the Titans logo, tearing up the Ravens logo. And now Derrick Henry could be heading to Baltimore, or he could be heading to the Buffalo Bills as well. We saw the Buffalo Bills play just last night. Buffalo Bills sleepwalk to a pretty easy victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was, I don't know. Josh Allen didn't look anything special. Sleepwalking would be the way that I would probably put it. Sleepwalking through that victory, Josh Allen was. But wouldn't it be so much better for the Buffalo Bills to have Derrick Henry back there instead of Latavius Murray? Latavius Murray, by the way, 3 starts in a row. That's got to bother James Cook, the fact that Latavius Murray, even if it's just a ceremonial start, that's got to bother him just a little bit, right? And other players that could be traded include Devontae Adams and Patrick Surtain. But We will get to those right after this word from the Podfather.
Hey, we're all starting new fantasy leagues all the time. And more often than not, where do we start our fantasy leagues at Player Profiler? On Sleeper. Because it's the best. You can imagine my excitement when I saw Sleeper rolled out. Sleeper picks, baby. And game stacking is the path to positive returns with these pick'em games. Find that sneaky shootout and set most of the players to go over their projection for that week. Or you find a game going to get dragged into the mud and take every member of the passing game for less than their projections that week. And if you pick up to 8, that's how you 100x your payout on Sleeper. It's called the Hail Mary. So if you use promo code Underworld, you get a $100 instant deposit match. Check out Sleeper's terms and conditions for details. These Sleeper picks are live in over 25 states. Yeah, buddy. Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free, and one of our key missions is to make as much statistics and information and deep analysis available on playerprofiler.com for free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible. If you can't do All In, that's okay. We have a draft kit. Or you can just subscribe to the player rankings. Those now include tight end premium FFPC ranks. Our brand new data analysis package will blow your hair back. And of course, there's our Dynasty Deluxe and our DFS Dominator. Take a moment, check out our premium services to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.
So, as we mentioned, Davante Adams still unsettled. Davante Adams still unhappy with the Las Vegas Raiders, even when they're winning. Davante Adams last week talking about how, hey, this offense isn't clicking. I need the ball more because if we want to be a winning football team, I need the ball more. And so they go up against the Detroit Lions, and they're going to have Jimmy Garoppolo back. It looks like Jimmy G is going to return with Davante Adams in tow. But do you really think the Raiders offense can keep up with the Detroit Lions? And I know they got smoked by the Ravens, but the Raiders aren't the Ravens on offense, on defense. So when the Lions inevitably do defeat the Las Vegas Raiders by quite a bit, I'm thinking something 38-17-ish in that ballpark. After that happens, it will hopefully be more likely that Davante Adams is free. Maybe to the Detroit Lions. Maybe Davante Adams never takes the plane home to Vegas. Maybe he just stays in Detroit. Maybe Max Crosby, the edge rusher, just stays in Detroit. I hope that the loss is bad enough that the Raiders will make the correct decision and sell. However, Josh McDaniels wants to save his job. Josh McDaniels, not a good head coach. We've seen that multiple stops now. But he's going to cling to glory. So unfortunately, I don't think Davante Adams is going to be traded. Don't think Brian Burns is going to be traded either for the Carolina Panthers, though he didn't practice today. No Brian Burns today at practice. He doesn't practice with an elbow injury. At least that's what they are saying. That's what they're calling it. Brian Burns, no practice. Apparently he was limited yesterday, left practice early with this elbow injury. Doesn't practice today. Allegedly, this is nothing to do with a potential trade. Allegedly, we're still going to be waiting. We're still going to be hoping, just like we're going to be hoping for a trade of Patrick Surtain. So many teams around the NFL could use a Patrick Surtain, including the Denver Broncos, which is why it is unlikely he is traded at this point. But they're going to be taking offers. They're going to be picking up the phone. They're going to be making offers to other teams saying, hey, do you want this player for these picks? The Broncos are going to be initiating those conversations. But when you have a star the caliber of Patrick Surtain, even if you get 2 first-round picks, then 2 potential impact starters, but at the same time, Patrick Surtain already one of the best in the NFL, so you got to be careful. Even when, 2 first-round picks, even then, you still got to be careful because you can waste those picks and the fan base turns on you just like that. So I'm not saying you shouldn't trade or shouldn't accept 2 first-round picks for Patrick Surtain. I'm saying you have to be smart with those picks. You can't just be frivolous after selling a player of Patrick Surtain, because look at the Chicago Bears when they trade Khalil Mack for that haul. and then it doesn't, not the Chicago Bears, the Las Vegas Raiders. They trade Khalil Mack for that haul, and it doesn't really amount to a whole lot. So that is what you have to avoid if you are going to trade a Patrick Surtain. If you're trading a Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton, not as big of a deal. Not worried about that. They are both going to be on their way out. And as I mentioned, the Buffalo Bills could be picking up the phone, adding a Derrick Henry, Latavius Murray, 5 carries, 7 yards, 1.4 yards per carry. Not great, but he's still a factor in this offense, or at least they want him to be, because James Cook is small. He's only about 200 pounds. He is a smaller running back. 14 carries, adds another reception as well. So he goes over 70 yards on the day, no touchdowns. And that's just the life of James Cook when you are not the primary goal line back. And the Buffalo Bills are passing on the goal line anyways. At least that's what we saw in this past game. Then, whatever. James Cook's going to have some of these games, but with Derrick Henry, James Cook's going to have even less of those big upside games. But we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out, and we'll see what happens with Dalton Kincaid. But I just want to say, I told you so. Dalton Kincaid, the rest of the way, top 5 or 6 tight end. I'd put him top 6 this week because Daniel Jones is officially out. Darren Waller will have Daniel Jones, though Darren Waller is questionable with a hamstring injury. It's the hamstring injury that he's had for a couple of years now, and they're just being careful with him, but they have to list it anyways. So I'm not actually worried. But if anything happens to Darren Waller, then Dalton Kincaid, officially a top 5 tight end the rest of the way. But career day from him, catches 5 of 7 targets for 65 yards. Khalil Shakur also has a big day, career day for Khalil Shakur. 6 receptions for 92 yards, catches all 6 of his targets. And this is the domino effect of losing Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox goes down, which means they have to play more 3 wide receiver sets, which is what the Bills were doing in 2020, 2021. And 2022. So for the past 3 years, the Buffalo Bills have been a 3 wide, 1 tight end offense, sometimes a 4 wide offense at times. And so they go back to what Josh Allen has been comfortable with over the years. And he, like I said, he just kind of sleepwalks through it. He has the interception, but I don't know if I really put the interception on Josh Allen. He goes to the blue medical tent. He's getting his shoulder looked at. Comes back out, and they make him run a bootleg, and it looks like he's just uncomfortable and not wanting to be in the situation. So I think that interception, of course, it is on Josh Allen, but it's also on the coaching staff. But even then, 31 of 40, 324 yards. It didn't feel like that kind of game from Josh Allen. It didn't feel like he had 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 2 passing, but he did. Josh Allen quietly dominated. Like I said, he sleptwalked and just dominated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a good Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense as well. And Baker Mayfield, because they are down throughout the entirety of the game, he throws 2 touchdown passes. He has over 20 fantasy points as well. It's a good game for Baker Mayfield. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, not the greatest games. Chris Godwin bailed out by a touchdown. Mike Evans bailed out by a touchdown, but 54 yards for Godwin, 39 for Evans. And Rachaad White, again, Rachaad White is so quiet on the ground. 9 carries, 39 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. That's pretty good for Rachaad White. He's getting better considering how bad this offensive line is. But it's the 7 of 7. He catches all 7 of his targets for 70 yards. The receiving game of Rachaad White, leading the team in receiving yards. If anyone else did that, everyone would be losing their minds if any other running back led their team in receiving yards. But it's Rachaad White, so it's not a big deal. People just will never give Rachaad White the credit that he deserves, but just you wait. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to invest in the offensive line this season, the next season, and once that happens, Rachaad White is going to have some wider rushing lanes, and Rachaad White is going to be not just a steady running back like we've seen, but he is going to be a dominant one, RB1 in fantasy. The ceiling, the hype, the whatever you want to call it, it's only ticking up for Rachaad White. That will bring us to the injury report, though. Tyreek Hill had a scare on Wednesday, doesn't practice. This is a rarity for Tyreek Hill. And then he's back on Thursday and Friday, and he is good to go. And this time, we're told, oh, well, eventually when Tyreek Hill returns. Well, eventually? Well, that doesn't sound good. And then, what was it, 3 hours later? He's back at practice, and all is good for Tyreek Hill. It's just the NFL teams playing mind games with us. But Tyreek Hill is back. expected to play through the hip injury. Jalen Ramsey may be back as well, though he has not confirmed it. He says he wants to be feeling great. He's been removed from the injury report because he's practicing 100%, but that does not mean he is 100% healthy, and he wants to feel great, not just good before he returns to the lineup. So hopefully we see Jalen Ramsey return. There is still a chance that we wait another week. Looks like we're going to have Raheem Mostert, though. He ended up missing Wednesday with an ankle injury, returns Thursday, Friday. Looks like he's going to be good to go, but now we're hearing Jeff Wilson is going to get some run this week. Jeff Wilson's finally going to be ramping up into this offense. He was active last week, not particularly involved in the offense. Now that Raheem Mostert is a little bit banged up, expect to see more Jeff Wilson, unless Mike McDaniel just wants to get involved in the Shanahanigans and copy his former boss and just do something out of left field and just give Savon Ahmed all the touches, which he could do. But anyways, Jeff Wilson going to see some run this week. Alvin Kamara is back. He is full in practice today and yesterday. Removed from the injury report, Alvin Kamara appears there with an illness. No worry there. Alvin Kamara is still a top 3 RB the rest of the way. Alvin Kamara has been so good this season with check down Derek Carr. And his teammate Jawan Johnson is officially off the injury report. He is officially back. Will make his return this weekend for the New Orleans Saints, as will Miles Sanders for the Carolina Panthers. Miles Sanders dealing with that shoulder injury, removed from the injury report. He is back, though no guarantee that he's going to be the lead back. In fact, it is going to continue to be a committee, is what Frank Reich is telling the public. And I believe it because Chuba Hubbard has just been flat out better than Miles Sanders. And so has Dante Foreman. Dante Foreman making $2 million on a 1-year contract. Miles Sanders making $6 million a year on a 4-year contract. Maybe the Panthers just should have brought back Dante Foreman, let's be honest. And we also have TJ Hawkinson returning to practice. He is off the injury report. He doesn't practice Wednesday, limited Thursday, full practice Friday. He is removed. He's got a foot injury, nothing to worry about. Aaron Jones, same story, hamstring, doesn't practice Wednesday. Oh no, Aaron Jones didn't practice. Was there a setback? This is so scary. Okay, he's limited on Thursday. Oh, he's full on Friday. Oh, never mind. It's just the new plan for Aaron Jones. We've talked about this for a couple weeks now. Wan'Dale Robinson. Every Wednesday, he's not going to practice. Every Thursday, he's going to be limited, and every Friday, he's going to be full. And every Sunday, he's going to be starting. That appears to be the new plan for Aaron Jones managing this hamstring strain. A lot of players around the NFL will take Wednesday off, especially when they've had surgery within the past year. Luke Musgrave, officially questionable for the Green Bay Packers, suffers the ankle injury last week. Not the head injury on the shot from Kareem Jackson, but he has an ankle injury. Doesn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Limited session in on Friday, so he's probably not playing. But Luke Musgrave is so much better than the other tight ends, and he makes this offense so much better, even if he hasn't had the full breakout game we've been waiting for, that they might say, okay, well, you got a half day of practice. Doesn't matter. Luke Musgrave is that good, that important to our offense. We're going to dress him, but make other arrangements in fantasy football. Kyler Murray, not going to return this week. He is officially doubtful, but it is good to see that he is just fully healthy. He practices in full yesterday, so he is removed from the injury report. Practices in full today, not added back to the injury report. Kyler Murray is kind of in that same position as Jalen Ramsey, where he is good to go. There is nothing to worry about. He's practicing in full, but obviously he's coming off major surgery, so he is not fully healthy just yet. It's coming in time. I think we'll see Kyler Murray again, not active next week against the Cleveland Browns. I think he'll return in week 10 against the Atlanta Falcons, because having Kyler Murray return against the Browns defense is kind of setting him up for failure. Speaking of returning and speaking of playing poorly against the Cleveland Browns, Brock Purdy. We all talked about how he had the concussion that he suffered on Sunday. He doesn't report symptoms or doesn't experience symptoms until Monday. And then on Tuesday, no practice. Wednesday, no practice. Thursday, Brock Purdy practices. Friday, Brock Purdy at practice once again. Could Brock Purdy just have Wolverine type regeneration powers? Because first it was the UCL in his elbow, the historic comeback for Brock Purdy. And now it looks like he may be one of the few players this year to suffer a concussion on Sunday and return the following Sunday. Brock Purdy. I mean, there's no guarantee yet, but he's still in the concussion protocol. But Brock Purdy, man, something in Iowa. I don't know what it is, but Brock Purdy superhuman healing powers. Wish we could say the same for the Seattle Seahawks. Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, Bobby Wagner all did not practice today. All didn't practice yesterday. The Seahawks are one of those West Coast teams that practice in the afternoon. And so we don't get their practice report usually, even when I record this show live. We don't get the practice report from the Seahawks until halfway through the show because the Seahawks are just like that. And it's frustrating. But yesterday, no Kenneth Walker, no Tyler Lockett, no Bobby Wagner. Bad sign for all of their availability this weekend. Hopefully they play. Keep an eye on Friday's practice report for the Seattle Seahawks. If it's even out yet, it'll be out within the next half hour to an hour at the very latest. But, these frustrating Seattle Seahawks and their late West Coast biases. I mean, come on. If you're going to be out in the West Coast, you got to at least practice in the morning so we can get our information on time, like the Arizona Cardinals do. We get the information on the Cardinals pretty early in the day because they practice in the morning. So thank you, Arizona Cardinals. Shame on you, Seattle Seahawks. Get better with your practice routine. We do know DK Metcalf practiced in full on Wednesday and Thursday. He's got the rib and hip injury. Missed last week. He's going to be back, which is good because I might be without Tyler Lockett. Steelers, we thought were going to be without Deontay Johnson. Got very worried there. He had a setback in his hamstring. He didn't practice on Thursday. And then he practices on full on Friday. He's removed from the injury report. Deontay Johnson, good to go. So it looks like either he felt a little something on Wednesday and preemptively said, hey, just give me the day off and I think I'll be good. And he is good now. Or this is just part of his practice routine. We saw Juju Smith-Schuster. I think he used to miss Thursdays when he played with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He used to miss one day a week, and I think he might have been Thursday as well. So maybe that's how the Steelers are going to play it. We'll have Deontay Johnson practice Wednesday, sit Thursday, return Friday. We're going to keep an eye on that, but Deontay Johnson, good to go. Unlike Daniel Jones, he is out again with the neck injury. Brian Dable is now non-committal on a return. This is what I was worried about. This is what I have been worried about. The fact that Daniel Jones still experiencing symptoms, cannot return to the field until those symptoms are gone. The fact that he cannot pass the tests of the doctors at this point. I'm worried about Daniel Jones. I hope he returns soon. I hope he has a long NFL career, but the neck injury, that's different than the last neck injury that caused him to miss significant time and get surgery. I'm just a little bit worried for Daniel Jones. I hope he heals up quickly, but it's going to be another game for Tyrod Taylor. Andrew Thomas, left tackle. He is doubtful, probably going to be out once again, but Tyrod Taylor might have his right tackle back in Evan Neal. He's officially questionable with an ankle injury. Sounds like he's a game time decision if he's going to go. And center John Michael Schmitz could be back as well. The Giants, just a rotating door on the offensive line. Justin Pugh goes from the couch to starting left guard to starting left tackle. With Andrew Thomas out, he's going to be starting once again. Blocking for Saquon Barkley, who is off the injury report. He is the one good news we have for the New York Giants. He's got an elbow injury. He hyperextended his elbow, but he's good to go. He is off the injury report. No worries for Saquon Barkley. Obviously worried about the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, he's going to be out once again. Obviously with PJ Walker in at quarterback, brings the pass catchers down a little bit. Though, we did get some good news from the Cleveland Browns. Jerome Ford actually practiced today. I did not see that one coming. Didn't think there was a chance that Jerome Ford, with a high ankle sprain, would practice. And it's being discussed that he has a low-grade high ankle sprain, which doesn't really exist. So Jerome Ford practices today. Officially questionable. He's not playing this weekend. And if he plays next weekend, he's going to be limited, or at least his efficiency is going to suffer. And if he plays next weekend, the weekend after that, his efficiency is going to suffer. This is still a 4-week injury for Jerome Ford, even if he is practicing already. But Justin Fields going to be out this weekend once again. We knew that. He is still week to week with the thumb injury. Ryan Tannehill out with the ankle injury. It's going to be a combination of Will Levis and Malik Willis potentially. We talked about this the other day. Mike Vrabel playing the mind games with us and won't commit to who his starter is, even though he told us it was going to be Will Levis, and then he realized, I admitted that. I got to backtrack that and say it could be either of them. But expect to see a lot of Will Levis, and hopefully he balls out. Indianapolis Colts are not going to have Kylan Granson. He's out with a concussion. Braden Smith, their right tackle, he is out with a hip and wrist injury. And Julius Brents, the rookie second-round pick, out with a quad injury. So lots of injuries for the Indianapolis Colts. Texans going to be without Robert Woods, and the Jaguars going to be without Zay Jones once again. No, Robert Woods sucks. He's actually played fairly well this season for how bad he looked with the Tennessee Titans, another year removed from his ACL injury. But this just means we're going to see a healthy dose of Tank Dell, which I love. How do you not love Tank Dell? Love that guy. Absolutely love Tank Dell. Can't wait to see him continue to ball out, continue to break out in his first year with the Houston Texans with quarterback CJ Stroud. And they're going to win. They're going to obviously beat the Carolina Panthers this weekend. Final news and notes around the NFL. Justin Ross has been placed on the commissioner's exempt list, which means he can no longer practice with the team, no longer go to the team facility, can't go to the games. Justin Ross effectively no longer with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's on the commissioner's exempt list while they investigate his arrest the other day. So even though he wasn't a fantasy option, he is kind of over in Dynasty, at least for now. And considering the Chiefs weren't particularly happy with him beforehand with how his play was, and he was behind MVS and Sky Moore, even though they weren't playing well, pretty safe to say that the Justin Ross dream is never going to be fulfilled. Dalvin Cook dreams of an NFL trade. He is hoping that maybe the New York Jets will send him somewhere else because he feels like he's a running back that gets better with more carries. He's frustrated with his role because he's not a full bell cow, which he had to know when he signed with the Jets because Breece Hall was obviously better than Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook clearly just deluded himself into thinking, no, I'm better than Breece Hall. I can relegate him to the bench. No, you're not. And you just think you're a better running back as you get more touches, so we should just waste the first and second quarter with your inefficiency because you feel like you're going to get better with more touches? No, that's not how it works, Dalvin Cook. This is silly. No one's going to trade for you. You're going to continue to be frustrated with your role. And that's just the way it's going to be. Final piece of information that we have picked up today. The Detroit Lions starting safety, or at least he was their starting safety when he was healthy, tears his pectoral. But the artist, formerly known as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, formerly known as CJ GJ. And the reason I say formerly is because he has legally changed his name to CD Deuce, which is what you can find him on all of social media. And CD Deuce is going to be coming back for the Detroit Lions playoff run, and the Detroit Lions still number 2 in the NFC. Might get a 1-game lead on the San Francisco 49ers when they lose to the Cincinnati Bengals and the Lions beat the Las Vegas Raiders. So as always, it's a great time to be a Detroit Lions fan.